Shalom, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight we'll be doing another class in a series of classes on Capricorn ascendant and the ruling planet and the different signs. Tonight we'll be doing Saturn and Libra. Very interesting, very good, very strong combination, right? You have two cardinal signs here, the cardinal ascendant Capricorn and Saturn in the cardinal sign of Libra, which for most part falls in the 10th house, and if the chart is balanced properly. And so it's very, very successful for career. It's a career-oriented chart, the ruling planet in the house of career, and it brings a lot of success because Saturn is exalted in Libra. We're very, very powerful in Libra, right? Saturn rules fear. When you have fear in Libra, Libra is the legal system. And so when you have Saturn, Saturn is always fearful. When Saturn knows there's a good legal system, it makes him stronger, it makes him feel that he's protected, right? That there's always a recourse, and people have to behave properly in a society that's governed by a proper judiciary system. Right? If everybody could do what they wanted, everybody would everybody else alive. And that's what the Capricorn Saturn fears more than anything else. So in Libra, it's a very, very nice combination. It gives him a lot of power, a lot of feeling, and it's very artistic, right? Libra is connected to Venus, so for Saturn is form, and it gives form to Venus, which is ruled by Venus. It gives form to the person's art, or it gives a career, right? Saturn rules career, so it'll give a career in art, in theater, in anything connected with the arts. I have two people's charts. One I just remember off the top of my head. I remember when I did it years ago. For example, there's Jack Benny. Jack Benny was a very, very famous Jewish comedian in America. Tremendous sense of timing. He was noted for the ability to timing. Saturn rules time, right? Exalted in the 10th house. He was noted for his timing. You know, and he was like a tremendous, one of the most popular actors in America, and he was on radio, on television, in movies, everywhere he was a success, in vaudeville. That's one person. And a couple minutes we'll come back and do somebody else's, more seriously a little bit. But it gives a tremendous ability in the artistic sphere, especially so again, you have Saturn in the 10th house, Saturn and Capricorn, so it's going to be a very career-oriented type of chart. Person wants to get ahead. Person wants to be in society, right? You have to remember, Capricorn, its fulfillment is in Libra, which is social. They want to become, Capricorn wants to come out of their coldness. Right? Everybody wants to fulfill themselves, right? 10 signs away. And 10 signs away is a square. It's a hard combination. So you always want to fulfill yourself in a hard way. And the Capricorn, it fulfills itself by coming out of its coldness, out of its isolation, and to become into the world of partnerships, marriage and society and partnerships. And so that's very important for the person. The person's spiritual growth. The Capricornian spiritual growth is through that. Unfortunately, a lot of people today, in the Western world, they have Scorpio in the 10th house, which continues the isolation, right? It even makes the isolation worse. So it's much harder for the Capricorn to fulfill themselves, right? They have to try to really work harder because they're not so in touch with their Libra. They have to learn to get in touch with it and not go after so much after that Scorpio on the 10th house cusp. Tonight we're going to do a chart of somebody who lived in the very north. He lived in Ireland. And so his midheaven went so far as to be in Sagittarius, the beginning of Sagittarius even, which again is also, a person very interested, Capricorn, who is going to be very interested in religion, philosophy, things like that, because it's Sagittarius is they're connected with those houses, religion, philosophy, and things like that. And the ruling planet Saturn, this person was a very famous author, also famous poet, writer, theater, everything, right? His name was William, William Yeats. William Butler Yeats, right? He won the Nobel Prize for Literature, very famous writer. And he was steeped, his chart, he had Saturn in the 8th house exalted, and he was steeped in mysticism. The whole life he learned mysticism, astrology, palmistry, you name it, he was into it. Indian studies back then when nobody was into it. He was into practicing automatic writing. Him and his wife, they would try to bring down spiritual forces to write for them, and all sorts of stuff. He was, and he wrote about it a lot in his poems. Also a very spiritually oriented, mystically oriented type of person, and you see that in his chart by having that Saturn over there in the 8th house. Very, very exalted. Now, Saturn in Libra alone isn't enough really to make somebody a writer, right? It's more. But if you look at his chart, you'll see he also, first of all, his ascendant was in the very, very end of Capricorn, which makes it almost 99% of the houses in Aquarius, which also is an air sign. And he had the moon in Aquarius, another air sign. And he had the Sun and Mercury, both in Gemini, the sign of the writer. So you see he had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6, 7 points, almost half his points in air. So it gives him a tremendous literary drive, especially when you have the Sun and the Moon and the ruling planet all in air. And in a grand trine to each other, it's going to give a tremendous energy for writing. He lacked, in his chart, he lacked water. He didn't have much water. He had very difficult problems in relationships. No water can make problems in relationships. He had no water. Late in his life, he got married to a younger woman, managed to have 2 children, right? He has a nice 5th house, Mercury in honor there. Eventually he had children, but he had difficulty in relationships. But he was a very, very talented man. You see that in his chart. Right? He has the Capricorn ascendant, and Saturn exactly square to it. So very, very Saturnian, very serious man. Very, very serious type of man, and he was interested in subjects that were very deep, and he was inclined to subject matter like that. And I thank everybody for listening.